I know that, I know because I talked with Michael about it, I know that absolutely compelled him, but I suspect it must do you as well. I wonder if you could talk about that.
Well, one thing about illustrative paintings is none of us have any idea why this is painted. We can all conjecture about it. And so it's kind of weirdly democratic. There is no authoritative take on why they were made. Another thing is that quite often you might find the only painting of this artist. If you find a Jim Shaw, I'm a professional, I do stuff over and over again. So my impetus and creative spark is diluted amongst hundreds of pieces of art. Whereas in this case, it might be the only painting by this person. That's another aspect. But yeah, I like the idea that there's this drive to create, and they romanticize that. But you know, when I look at a painting of a distressed-looking girl looking out the window, I can project all kinds of strange love probabilities because you know we in these relationships that might be on some aspects. You can do a little sleuthing.
Right. Well, by way of orientation, I need to make a couple of comments and then we can go back to some questions for Jim. I guess we want to go around and look at the commenting. Well, we could. Well, I just have a point actually to the trees over here. This actually really fascinates me. I think historically, it's going to be LA scene, particularly this tree, is really, I wouldn't necessarily tell, but this is really important, interesting stuff because, you know, so many musicians here, so many LA artists have also structured their careers around, John Baldassari in particular, you know, he made a whole career starting in the mid-1970s, going around to the studios themselves, first of all, would have bins and trucks outside and they would get these cast-off Hollywood photographs, and then there would be sort of thrift stores and photo shops, photo stores dedicated. You know more about the history of this than I do. Were there and sort of walked through a boulevard. And signature, yeah, absolutely. So, and you know, this photograph here, this is University Civics. So, you know, some chancellor, some vice chancellor being debated here. And, you know, it's actually very interesting that Baldassari also found the University Civics piece, and it became one of his first and best known photo collages from that early period. You know, it's not quite the same. This typical for Jim is much weirder because it has a very roof shade there, the guy in the foreground. It's all sorts of weird things here. John's is much more civically conventional, but then he interferes with the image by putting shapes and other images around it. So he produces the complexity through formal addition, whereas you know, for Jim, this kind of work, it's just the image itself working in strange tricks. But if you go through, I mean, this second one, I mean, here, I don't know what this is, I don't know if you know what it is, but, you know, here's some children's show. Yeah, children's show. And of course, you know, this just reminded me instantly of Mike's Banana Man, right? Because, you know, this is one of Mike's most famous pieces that takes someone who's famous in America, this guy called the Banana Man with endless pockets who has this.
It's a variation on some character from Captain Kangaroo.
That's it. That's where it first appeared. Yeah. I mean, you know, so that's sort of two already for me uncanny things within the art history of LA. And it sort of continues because, you know, over this side you've got groups and constellations and sort of, they're not quite yearbook-like photographs, but they're things that are a bit like that. And that was, of course, another thing that Mike also took up with. So this whole image repertoire is really quite extraordinary. There's some that deal with design and individual products, like the chair here, and then, you know, fairly strange and bizarre situations like the quadruple urination, shall we call it, that's going here with the welcome sign. And on it goes, and then, you know, in this kind of area you've got the monsters. I know there's a whole section of sort of monsters and freaks over the other side, which lead into the UFO section of the show, which is, I suspect, one of your favorites, right? Finding these great UFO type images.
Mm-hmm. Well, there were a lot more stills that I couldn't find. Basically, this whole part of the exhibition came about like 3 weeks ago, where Lauren said, "Oh, we've got this other space. What would you like to do with it?" drawings and photographs that had never been exhibited with thrift store paintings. But I never found my caches of filed stills, so these are more recent 8x10s. There's a couple of bigger ones, and a few that had actual backing on the walls.
And if you walk this way, I mean, I love the juxtaposition. Yeah, it's really well designed, because these two vitrines, but maybe especially this vitrine, this contains this loosely googled mid-20th century biomorphic organicist abstraction, right, which is just such an American motif in a way. I love the labels. This one is cosmogenesis over here. There's one I can hardly even read, which I like even better. I think it's synthematology, something like that. Some synthesis and pathology at the end. And it's all these, strangely sci-fi, odd biomorphic flourishings of graphic.
It's from the early 60s, pre-drug usage.
Right.
Generally speaking, I think the artist may have been an African American who was received from the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People.
Yep.
Summer camp or something, or perhaps just a liberal.
Yeah.
And the fact that they were so obsessive about keeping every little doodle that they'd ever made, for me, was the most interesting aspect.
Isn't this a great inscription? Your dog, for you, my dog.
So
whatever that means. It's so crazy in relation to what's being represented there. It looks a bit like a crazy Bala futurist poodle kind of strolling along. Yeah, let's go over on the other side. Yeah. Reading, tell me if I'm wrong, but my reading here is that we start with, odd phobias and obsessions and things that are a little nightmarish and horrific, most, obviously including the guy with the weird eye and, the fearful person woman in front of the moon and this very odd Japanese painting of, these two figures smoking in the water, which is, it's fearful because it's not so odd. Strange way. And then there are real incendiaries and infernos and blitz-like scenes going around here. And then we gradually morph into monsters and sci-fi. I love this one with these sleeping pods and resting places and church-like towers against this crenellated background, which is completely ridiculous. It's like being in Edinburgh or something with sci-fi in the front. And then it kind of gets weirder and creepier as you go all the way down, culminating in the Jesus with the butterfly wings right at the end. And then as it turns the corner, you sort of edge into the more abstract and pattern variants of that sci-fi imaginary. That's my reading.
Well, that's pretty much, goes from portraiture into chaos. I think that might be the only painting of sitting in flames from Molotov cocktails I'll ever find.
Yeah.
Whereas the surrealist ones, there's always another great bit of angst, surrealist painting to be found. These black and white charcoal sketches have a bit of a history. I had gotten out of Cal Arts, and I had gotten this job based on the earliest piece that's in the other show, which was a photograph of my head turning into a cloud. I'd gotten this job working on the follow-up to Days of Heaven, which didn't get finished until last year, which was the Tree of Life.
Right.
And so I moved to this crappy little apartment in East Hollywood, and when the head of Paramount got a job at Disney, the Tree of Life ceased to exist as a film because they were like grooming him for like next year's Oscars or something like that. So then I had no job, and I was very, very broke. And when I finally got a little tiny bit of money, I had my eye on these paintings and drawings that were in this junk store near my crappy apartment. And the color ones, some of them are in the book of thrift store paintings of the robots. And these are the other ones, the black and whites. I think it's two different movies, the armies of robots and then the aliens from outer space. They're some sort of simplified keyframes from the movie. I also got a bag of portraiture slides from a portrait house about this big, 1,000 slides maybe, and a little watch for $45. That was my big purchase historically.
And so that's what, does it take us all the way around here? From here all the way to this one, right?
No. That one seems to say mobsters, so it's probably some 90s gangster artwork. There's a nice Ice Cube portrait over there. That's one good thing about thrift store art is it's going to be made in the future. It's not tied to the 40s or the 50s or the 60s or any particular time period. Of course, the more lurid, the better in my book, and the thrift store surrealism is among the more lurid. That triangular sort of two-pyramid thing is by a guy who used to put out bad synthesizer albums in the 70s that had large print on the back cover. Warning, do not listen to these while on drugs. And covered all of them. That's a suggestion. The one next to it, you can see there's a whole other painting underneath it. And next to that is kind of too large for the payoff, but the fact that there's a penis in the middle of this Fantasia ostrich feathers
Peacock.
Peacock feathers. A strange and then after that there's this African giant woman versus a little tiny white man on a chessboard. That's a pretty interesting thing. And then we've got the sexy Tinkerbell in a Roger Dean floating Disneyscape. Can't beat that. These are like all the abstractions I ever found that either if an abstract painting in a thrift store succeeds in as an abstract painting, it doesn't quite succeed as a thrift store painting usually, because it's just a successful abstract painting. But these ones had some strangeness to them. And initially, when Lawrence asked me about doing something in there, I thought, oh, well, I'm going to actually work on a painting, a backdrop painting, but I hadn't gotten specific ideas. So this is what the backdrop paintings look like before it works on.
Any idea what this came from? And what it was doing?
Yankees, maybe, or The Best Man, some political play or something set in Washington.
Yeah.
Wasn't the guy in Damn Yankees a fan of the Washington Generals? So
you're right, yeah, because I like that. The pinkness is so amazing.
yeah, well, it's the cherry tree.
Yeah, right. Springtime
Washington Jefferson Monument.
No.
But yeah, it's a lot cartoonier than most of the backdrop paintings.
Yes.
You never know because they're all bought based on little tiny JPEGs, so you have no idea when buying them what they actually look like.
Any idea what you're going to do to this one?
No.
Okay.
I have some vague ideas, but you have to wait for a good idea. That's a giant still from a movie called The Sin of Harold Diddlebach, or A Mad Wednesday, the last Hollywood film by Preston Sturges, and the comeback of Harold Lloyd, who also, I think, was a major TNA photographer. Passion has put out books of his 3D photos of voluptuous women. But he was a major silent